What's going on? Today we're going to take a look behind the track, Relentless Force. I'm going to focus on two main parts of the track today, the melody and the drum breakdown on the drop. You ready? Let's get into it. So, the track is fairly simple. I always say that, but I don't know, that's just my go-to thing. Let's take a listen here, leading into the melody, and refresh our minds. Here we go.
Gaping heart, open your eyes.
Like, just, man, the emotion in that is just it's out of this world. So let's take a look at this. I have no idea what this is gonna look like. I didn't look at it beforehand, but here we go. Let's just open this bad boy up. Bunch of freezes. Oh man. All right, so let's just go ahead and solo and take a listen to all the elements here and soloed. So first element here, we have from Contact here. Soloed out sounds like this. Just an organ. Oh yeah, the soul in that is so good. Love it. So just froze that in. Now, next freeze here from Contact again. We've got this. Oh man, that's nice. That's deep. So that's just the choir. The choir, you know, playing the same melody as the organ. So when you play those together, you get this. So that organ is in the front. And you've got that choir hitting the sides on the stereo field, and also just adding some spaz to the whole thing. Very nice, very nice. Now, let's go ahead and take a listen to the next one here. This is probably our top lead. Oh, no, okay. So this is a bass here. Was this clean saw? Yeah, so this is just a clean saw bass. Take a listen to it. It's got some nice pitch bend to it. Very nice and smooth pitch bend. So that's just a very clean saw bass, you know, going on in Sylenth 1 there. Just it's gonna acting like our kind of bass line here. So when this whole thing hits, it just and you can just feel that tension in there. So that saw wave just adds that grit in there that we're really looking for. That brings the melody to life. Now, next element here. What is this? Okay, this is just a nice little cutoff bass here in Sylenth, which is just a, you know, with a filter on it and some stereo dimension added to it. So when we play these together, we get this, the sort of foundation, mid-range and stereo width of our bass line. Oh yeah. Which is playing the root notes of all these other things like here. So when we get these together, you're starting to get something that becomes a little more cohesive. Listen. Very nice, very nice. Now, I'm guessing this is our chords here. So this is our chords here. Yep, background chords. So very simple. It's just playing a very basic version of the melody with one octave low, one octave high. Root notes on, you know, root notes of the melody here. Just very nice. Just adding some nice structure to the whole thing. So now we're gonna go ahead and hear. This is where we're gonna start hearing the, you know, the individuality of the melody come together here. This is like a background chord as well, but you're starting to see how I pitch bended that, and this is gonna play along with that bass line. So when we start playing our pitch bended bass line, you can see how this comes together. They play off of each other. Now we go ahead and listen to our next element here. Oh yeah. So now that's giving us the character. You know, the melody is telling us about itself. This is, you know, it's that signature sound, you know. Utilizing the pitch bend in full effect here. Now, I've got another part in here where it starts playing the counter melodies come in on the melody. You know, you've got your bass foundation playing, the actual melody itself, and then in the second 4 bars of that melody, you're starting to get those counter melodies that bring a more euphoric feeling in here. So when we play this with our counter melodies, it sounds like this. But it's such a background element, it sounds a lot bigger when everything plays together for some reason. It just sounds like, oh, like, like you'll hear when we play all the elements together, you'll be able to hear and be like, whoa, like it sounds a lot bigger than just this simple, this simple wavetable here. So, and that's it. That's the melody right there. Now playing our low end, I believe I actually used, what did I use here? Okay, cool. I used the hip hop sub here, and now the hip hop sub is just very simple. Sounds like this. And I did actually pitch bend this. You see that? Just very quick with the glide, 209 milliseconds. So now, when we play the whole thing, oh, actually, I guess there's some more stuff here. We've got some hard brass. Very, very crafty, very nifty. Now this is just like, you don't really notice this unless you're really listening. You hear the initial, you hear that, I want you to hear that, but all these subtle changes that are like not very cleaned up, just changes, see that? But you see, when you play the drums with it, this is when the whole thing starts to come together, and you can kind of forgive these tiny mistakes, but they're very intentional. You know, that's just, you know, some stomps. What exactly is that? Yeah, some cashmere stomps here, which is, you know, I just EQ'd a little bit, took the low end out, and took some body out of it, and then, you know, we've got, which is just a very, very, very punchy kick with not any bass in it at all, pretty much. But it just goes in to add in some more character and punch detail to this whole overall thing. You see that? Listen. It sounds like it hits, you know. It's just it's illusion. It's illusion. What your ears think they hear, you know. So now when we play this whole thing together, you're getting this product that just sounds so intense, in your face, and just it lifts you up. Take a listen.
Gaping heart, open your eyes.
Listen. The counter melody. It's so in the background, like it's like, listen, it's so in the background that it makes it sound larger. Listen, right here. Very nice. That's the quick breakdown of the melody. Now, if we go in and listen to the drop, let's refresh ourselves on the Relentless Force drop here, and then we're gonna dive in quickly to the drums. Here we go.
Relentless Force.
So that's the tongue twister. That's the Relentless Force drop right there. So that's the drop. Now if we go ahead and solo this is what we're getting into here. How punchy that is, you see that? So punchy. And you know, the way this breaks down, I'm pretty sure I used some more cashmere stuff here, especially to make that roll. So let's open this up here. So just a simple kick. Use a simple kick that sounds like this. I always like to use a kick with my hardstyle stuff. For like, you know, 95% of the time, I'll put a kick, you know, a nice punchy kick that doesn't have a lot of low end in it, but it's very punchy and in your face. I'll layer it, you know, alongside a hardstyle kick or a talk or something. And I really make the hardstyle kicks like all the elements are like a sandwich. And you've got your sub, and that's like, I like to take the sub completely out. Like especially if I'm working with a hardstyle kick sample and samples, you know, I don't like to just, sometimes I will, but most of the time I'll take that low end out and and reintroduce that low end in a more controlled way that I am familiar with, you know. In my case, if we look here, I used hip hop sub bass again, which is just pure sine sub, just pure sub, and it's, you know, there's nothing constructing it, there's nothing, you know, there's nothing in the way, it's just pure, you know. So going back to the drums here, we've got this kick. It sounds like it has some redux on it. Yeah, it's got some redux on it. Now we go in here. Here's the, which one is this? Yeah, so here's the hardstyle kick here, right here. And on this hardstyle kick, I made this a little wider with micro shift. It's got some very great. Oh, this is a micro shift. Oh man, I haven't used this in a minute. Okay. So here's micro shift. This is just a plugin from Sound Toys. If you don't know what Sound Toys are, just look it up, soundtoys.com. I think that's the website, but they top-notch plugins. Use it all the time. Let's see. So I just use micro shift, I believe, just to make this thing, you know, to get it wider in the stereo field. So it sounds like this, and you see how it's kind of these got some artifacts hitting the sides. Now to get this thing to move, I just use the LFO sharing tool, which, you know, without it sounds like this. Now when we turn that bad boy on, you see it's moving, but it's very subtle, you know, it's at 69%. Now what I did here was, you see I put, it goes down, what I did here was I did transposition to kind of get it to pitch bend, so it starts high and it goes down, listen, bam, 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 see that? Transposition. Nice trick. You hear that talk? Now the way this thing is being, you know, I'm moving it with, I've got a very, very heavy compressor on it, side chain, you know, with a release of 50 milliseconds, attack 40.46 with a, you know, regular 2-to-1 ratio, but the threshold is on an infinite decibel ratio, threshold rather. And this is just creating, this letting that punch come through, but then it's immediately ducking and it gets out of the way of that kick. But it's, just listen, you can hear how I kept the punchiness and using this infinite threshold. See that? Doop, 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 doop. It's so nice. So now when we play these together with the kick we have here, it sounds like this, very punchy. Look how punchy this is. Oh yeah, so good. Now I think I just used another kick sample here to do the bump bump, but yeah, just the nutty kick, I guess, nutty kick 24 sample mode. And you know, here I just EQ'd it to give this some, you know, if you listen to this, you can hear that I was what frequency I was trying to boost, because it gives it some harmonics in there. It makes it more, you know, melodic. What else do we have here? What is this? Oh, there's so it goes bam. This is the little tot kick that you hear, the boom, boom, and this is just a raw kick that sounds like this with a lot of reverb. So now when we play this together with our kick here, it's all about the little details that you add. You don't always want to just have something that just goes bong, bong, bong. Like, that's cool sometimes, but sometimes we need some boom, boom, boom. Like, you see that? It's making you, like, dance with me. It makes you want to move. It moves you in a different, you know, in a different direction, which is nice. So now I did the same thing here with this cinematic drum, which just sounds like this. And this is what's really giving you that effect that's like, oh, it's Psy. Because there's no Psy like banana, 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 like Psy trance music. There's no banana, 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 banana. I did that with an LFO and actually modulated the sounds themselves. I didn't put in a banana, banana, analog fucking, you know, sine wave with a low pass filter and a little bit of distortion. Like, I didn't do that. I used, you know, this is what you're mainly hearing in the top end here. It's making you move, you know, and I exaggerated that effect with a 1/12 rate at a 42% amount, you know, which is that ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da. So without that, look how straight it is. It's almost there, and I kind of chopped it and froze it and consolidated it into a different kind of way. So I cut a specific part out, so it's just like, so it's almost there. But then I exaggerated that and made it even more effective, you know. See, now it sounds like you're tapping of a drum. You hear that in that left speaker? And then I actually tried to pitch bend it, which is, you know, creative direction. So, yay me. Now we've got some other stuff here. I guess this turns on whenever it wants. I don't know. Let's listen. Okay. So now these things are obviously just, you know, going between our left and right speaker, which is just adding depth. It's just small little details that bring the whole thing together as a whole. So now when we play this, that, our talk, the kick, and the punch kick together, you get this. You see that? You can hear that bum bum bum. Like, you can hear that. Listen. Like, these are all things you can dance to. These are all things that, you know, especially dancers and whatever, like, and shufflers, you're going to pick up on, because they're different things that if you just have, and that's all you have, like, there's nothing that you can do. There's only one thing you can do to that, and that's, but now if you have all these other things, there's different beats that you can move to in different ways that you can feel about this. You know, you could, you see that? Or I can just go. Like, this, you know, it's all about movement. It's all about feeling it, you know. Rhythm, the swing of it. There we go. The swing is nice. So I guess that's that breakdown there. But you see in this whole thing that there's no low end here. It's very controlled, and I told you I bought in that Pierce sub from Hip Hop Sub Bass. So this is the whole drum thing soloed once again. And then there's an un-LFO'd, I believe. Yeah, it's an un-LFO'd, unfiltered. It's just straight up bass. Ready? When we bring it together, now the whole thing you can feel the weight of everything here. Look at that. You see that? Now it has that weight, and there's nothing on here. It's just simple compression. Right there. Going off of the kick. 41 decibel threshold. My thresholds are crazy, I know. And then I took out all the highs as if there were any in there, but just to, you know, clean up things, because there's some things that you can't hear, and it just makes things sound better sonically. So I just, you know, took out all that and put it at 100 hertz, 95 hertz right there, and that's about it. That's the drums. And then, you know, all together, you're coming out of this whole thing like this.